So, hello. Is that the number of people usually joining the meeting? Okay. So
Hello, good evening. Usually there are many more than that. In a few minutes, they will join us.
okay, thank you. Okay. Well, I am replacing Tom, who's not able to make it today, and I was instructed to start a few moments before Anila, and so I would remind all the people present at this now, and maybe I will be able to do that later on. That the friends of the Dharma in Israel and of course our teachers do these endeavors benevolently. So if you want to share your generosity through Dana, I posted the address in which that can be done. And this session is recorded and will be available on YouTube also very soon.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Hi. Oh, Michal, hello.
Yeah, the project is postponed.
Okay.
To 2 weeks from now.
Okay.
So I'm really happy to be here.
How's your health also? Because after the operation and everything.
Yeah, I experienced a lot of improvements.
Okay, great. Good.
Much better, much better.
Wonderful.
Thank you for asking.
Oh, yeah. Hello. So you must be Arnaud, the DFI Dharma Friends Israel, the nice gentleman with the glasses and the mustache.
Thank you, Anila. I'm Edouard.
Edouard. Sorry, I knew it was something French, but I didn't. Sorry. You look more like Arnaud. You look more like Arnaud than Edouard somehow.
Okay.
No.
I'll tell my mom.
Okay. Are you French?
Yeah, originally. Yeah. I'm binational, yes.
Okay, great. Well, anyway, thank you very much for hosting it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for guiding us through the Bodhisattva way of life.
Yeah, we'll see, eh? I think sometimes it's more they guiding me than me guiding them, you know, because we usually have discussions. Also, Netta is here again. Hello, Netta. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Okay, and I understand that today is Holocaust Memorial Day. So, though, you know, I was actually wondering whether we should have it or not. But anyway, I said, yeah, we'll see. If somebody comes, then we have, and if nobody comes, then that's also okay. Okay, Edouard, do you need to say something, or you know, it's the people are here; they're here all the time, so we don't.
Well, I started with that before you joined, but I can say again for the few people who weren't here at that time. So
if you want, but they all know it.
yeah,
So
they all know. Okay, so with no further ado, please,
So
you're co-host, so you can manage the.
Okay,
section
that's
if you wish.
nice. Now I have to put on the thing here. Okay, so we start every time with some awareness meditation. As we repeated every time that we meet, that if we want the mind to change, that we will have to have a certain amount of awareness, and that there's no way around it, unfortunately. But with awareness also, I know it's boring sometimes, and I know it's difficult to do it alone. I know it's difficult to get to get a routine going. But this is why also, not just now with neuroscience, where they tell us again and again and again and again about the benefits of it, but if you read in the texts, it's like when you read up in the Lamrim, for example, the Graduated Path to Enlightenment, the chapter on mental quietude or shamatha, you have a whole list of advantages if you develop it. And I think one of the biggest advantages is that when we have a certain level of awareness, first of all, it does heighten your well-being, whether that comes automatically, but that shouldn't be the only purpose why you do it. Yeah, the purpose why we develop shamatha is that we notice when we are about to do something really stupid, something really silly, and which is not beneficial now, although it could look a little bit beneficial now because it will get us what we want when we react very strongly with anger or whatever, but it will definitely not be beneficial in the future. And with awareness also, we're kind of able to include the other. We are able to include, to see what does it do to the other person, and we feel how it feels. And with a lot of honesty also, we see how we exaggerate the whole thing. Like we start to see our thoughts, as we talked last time, we talked about these 4 pillars of well-being from neuroscience, more like connection, awareness, and with awareness you get insight, and then you start to see how your thoughts and how your emotions really influence how you see the world. Now, the thing is, when you hear it, when we talk about anger and patience and those, everything seems so easy and everything seems so, yeah, of course, I am like this. But when you start to develop awareness, then you start to see, oh my gosh, I'm not at all like this. Only then. Because first we think we're quite okay, and then slowly we start to develop awareness. And then the problem for Western people is that we don't believe in our Buddha nature. See, we don't trust it. We constantly kind of, I am bad, I'm not good enough, nobody likes me, I don't get what I want, and all this. And then we start to identify with these mind states. And then we don't want to look anymore because it's too ugly, because we don't understand that this is not us. This is just like clouds covering the blue sky. That underneath, we always have, when there is awareness, and underneath this whole chaos and turmoil sometimes, there is something that is called, vast stillness or clear light. His Holiness this morning was talking about clear light again in the two truths and his teaching this morning. So when we trust this, that we have basic goodness, we have lots of space in our mind, and we have basic intelligence, natural space, goodness, and intelligence, then we have much more interest to dig through the dirt. I don't know if any of you know Venerable Antonio, maybe Netta, yeah? You remember Antonio? And he does a lot of Vipassana Shamatha meditations, Mahamudra, these kind of things. He used to come to Israel also. And, he used to say, in order to be able to find some gold, you need to dig a lot of earth. I mean, you know, compared to the little bit of gold that you find, you need to dig like kilos and kilos of earth. But because you trust that you will find gold, you're not giving up. But if somebody just says, you go out in the garden, take a shovel and start to dig earth, you know, after half an hour, you go like, why on earth am I doing this? So if we don't strengthen that trust in our own very natural goodness, when we don't put awareness also on the moments when we are able to let go of our negative emotions, or not even able to let go of them, but just to see them and to understand that's not what I want, just that, you know, not giving them strength, not acting upon them. And then with the awareness, you keep your awareness on that thing. That's not what I want. This kind of motivation. Then, you know, the trust in our own goodness starts to develop. But if we're not even aware of the very small moments when we have totally open heart and everything is okay, when we're not aware of them, and again, you know, bringing in neuroscience, these connections will not be made. And the connections and the neurons and all this with our negative emotions, you know, they're very, very strong. The habits are very, very, very strong because we just let them go. But it's not bad news. It's actually just good news that there is both, and the negative emotions or the unhelpful emotions like anger and attachment and arrogance, and especially the wrong views, they are not our nature. Yeah. This is really good to know. So, my dear fellow Israeli people, do you have this confidence that you have Buddha nature? Should be a big smile on your face and a big nod. Yeah, I am a good person. And whatever happens, otherwise it's just clouds that is covering that goodness. That you tell yourself that again and again and again and again and again. And as Lama Yeshe used to say, you see, I throw out these names. You probably don't know who these people are, but it doesn't matter. I just throw them out so that you know that the wisdom is not from me, that I just copy whatever they said. So as Lama Yeshe said, you know, studying Buddhism and you know it backwards and forwards, and then you think, wow, this is it. I will be liberated. It's not enough. You need to meditate on these things. You need to internalize these things, so that you can then actually, then your heart starts to open. Then you start to feel them, and you start to experience them. You start to experience that, wow, when I'm angry, you know, I distort, I exaggerate, and I don't feel well. When I am totally concerned about somebody else, I am open, I'm relaxed, I'm alive, and this is what I want to be. Then we start to experience what we learn. But if we just have the theory, then we think that we're actually able to do it. But, you know, when it comes to the situation, then we go like, oh my gosh, yeah. And there is moments where you want to dissolve your negative emotion, like aversion towards somebody who is getting on your case and on your nerves. And you want, nothing happens, you know. Then the person goes away, then you work on it again. You know, that's another thing. Don't try to work on your anger when the person is right in your face. Sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't. But when you start to calm down, and we start to calm down, when the person has gone, then you go through these verses of Shantideva, you know, and you go like, yeah, this is what I wanted, especially the patience chapter. You go like, this is what I want. This is how I want to be. Yeah, and then we make these connections in the brain that, this is what I want to be when we are open and calm. Next time the person comes, you think it will work. It still doesn't work. But, you know, we can rehearse. Okay, next time she comes or he comes, then I'll do da-da-da-da-da. It still doesn't work. But at one point it will work. Same way, you know, we keep digging until we find the gold. Because giving up, not going to help. Giving up doesn't help. We have no choice. We have no choice but to keep digging, because the wish to be happy is always there. The wish to be happy is always there. And the key for all this is, of course, the theory, the teachings, the method, but also the quiet mind who is able to internalize that. Okay, so we train. So then again, before we start, you look at your motivation. Why on earth I am digging this earth of awareness, where I start to see all my crap, my crappy mind. And then, we can think, because I want to fulfill that yearning that I have to be happy and to be a good person, but then also, if possible, but not just for myself. Because the purpose of my life is really, in whatever way I can, to be of benefit to others. And we all know, when we know how to be of benefit, when the person lets us to be of benefit to them, I mean, what more do you want to be happy? Of course, if you have a lot of expectations about they're going to pay you, praise you, be grateful for the rest of your life, then that spoils it all. But if you remember, maybe you can do this now in the meditation, you remember moments you were able to help. It doesn't need to be anything complicated. You were able to help, the person did allow you to help them. It worked or it didn't work, it doesn't matter, And then to see, is this what I want? Yeah, to live that feeling, to experience that sensation, that feeling, how it is. There's nothing more beautiful than that, I think. I mean, it's my opinion. I don't know yours, but try it out. When we run after our own pleasure, we run and run and run, and there's never enough, never enough, never enough. It's like that. Israel, did you want to say something?
Now I can say something. Once you realize you hear me?
Yeah.
Once you realize the benefit of the practice, it takes you long time. But once you feel the little first sensation,
yeah, exactly.
This is like the honey. You go there and you don't want to leave, because what happened for me, that before you can be nice to others, you first of all have to be nice to yourself.
Definitely.
To know yourself, to know all who you are.
Yeah.
And then when you realize the benefit of the practice, and you see in your life that is really working, then it's very easy for you to do something for others and to see how they react, because if you know how it works for you after all this hard worship and benefits and ups and downs in your life, it's easy for you to help others in a way that they don't know even that you're helping them,
Yeah, exactly. So you can just, just being a good example has great influence on other people.
Exactly. Example.
We don't need to change them. We just have to be the change that we want to see in the world somehow. Thank you, Israel, because exactly, I'm so, you see, Edouard, here's discussion group. It's not just talking. It's like everybody, we just share. So it's good that other people, share their own experience. It's hard work. So it's like, digging the earth. You're not quite sure if there's gold here or not. But then you find even just a little piece, then you get a taste of it. And then oh, wow, I want more of this. Yeah, without attachment, without it to have to be right now. This is the big trap, isn't it? When you have moments where you talk totally open and all this, immediately we get attached to it. And then we think, oh, now I got it. From now on, it will only go upwards. So it's really good to know also that, it still goes like this.
After this going up, always there is you go down very quick.
There's a very nice book by Jack Cornfield, which is called After the Ecstasy, the Laundry.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
it's a really, really nice book because, you know, it helps us when great teachers like Jack Kornfield, they tell us that they go through the same states. Then it helps us not to be discouraged, because then I think, you know, if for them it goes like this, then why shouldn't it go like me for that? Yeah. But still, it's good to taste that ecstasy and to well, ecstasy maybe is not such a good word, because ecstasy we think like that. It's more the total quietness and the openness. Once
the
you
ecstasy
taste
can happen for me only in a retreat. You know, in a retreat, you can
true.
go in this kind of stage of mind that you are really somewhere else.
Yeah, this
But
is true.
but like my teacher used to say, a retreat is like a laboratory. You know, you go to a laboratory.
Yeah.
But the real life is outside the retreat. Outside the retreat, this is the real. I mean, the real retreat. The real retreat is not in the room. The real retreat is on the street.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. I mean, we have to bring the experience from the cushion. We have to bring it into the world. This is why we practice. Otherwise, if you only feel open heart when you sit on your cushion, and the moment you come out again, then it's like, what's the point? But this is where it starts. This is where you start to find the gold, is in retreat. Okay. So let's just sit for a little while. Maybe 10 minutes, okay? So make yourselves comfortable again. Remember, the first step is to be relaxed, not like this, but, you know, with a straight back, totally relaxed, not having any expectations, which is so difficult, especially after we talk about the benefits of meditation. Then, you know, we go and look for it. Where's the peace? Where's the space? Just relax. It will come. And you can use your breath in order to relax the body, and then also the mind will relax. For example, a very easy and very quick way is by breathing out, you think that you are breathing with your whole body. As you breathe in, you notice the body sensations, wherever you feel them. As you breathe out, you give it space and think that you're breathing out with your whole body. Become open. Sometimes in order to relax also, it's good to use words like nothing to do, nothing to achieve, not to be anybody special, not to understand anything intellectually, just to be in the present, just to notice, just to be aware, just to know. Knowing is a good word because we love to know. But if we don't look, we cannot know. And it's not the intelligence, the kind of brain intelligence that looks. It's the inside, your inner eye, our innate intelligence that knows when the mind is calm. That's the second step. The mind becomes stable. So you can't force it to be stable. The more you force it, the more agitated it will become. But if you give the mind an anchor, like your breath, for example, either rising and falling of your abdomen, or the little pressure on your nose, that will be the anchor where the awareness can rest upon. Or you can use the word, you know, just nothing to do until you feel an effect. Nothing to achieve, nothing to do. Oh. When you do this kind of meditation, you know, there's so many methods. Find the one that suits you. It has to suit you. Otherwise, you're just trying. but nothing happens. Or it can be the thought, I am a good person, without any ifs and buts, just that. Without arrogance, without comparing yourself with others. By nature, I am a good person. And to be aware of the sensation again that this thought is giving you. And now I leave you for the next 5 minutes. You find your own method. Whenever you get lost in thought, no problem. The moment you notice it, that is the success. That's the progress. So not to worry. You can only come back to the present, nowhere else. And then maybe before we end the meditation, we can spend a few thoughts on Holocaust Memorial Day. Because if your heart is open, then we can really allow that compassion to pour out in the form of light, maybe, or just, a well-wishing. Of course, first of all, to the victims. But then, if possible, also to the people who have such wrong views that they do these things and it keeps happening. That we should especially think about people of power, people who use their intelligence for propaganda, so that other people follow them and start to create such havoc and such damage. And just a deep thought, may this never happen again, neither to animals nor to human beings. And in whatever form I am, and in whatever place and state or status I am reborn, if I do have power, may I never use it to hurt, harm, or damage other beings. May this never happen again to nobody. Okay. So if you could just train some awareness, I know I keep saying that, just 5 minutes every day, that would be a very good start. Make it part of your day and find out the time. For some people it's better in the evening. For me, definitely better in the morning than in the evening. And don't make it too long. It's not the length that is important, but try to same as we brush our teeth, none of us forgets to. We never say, oh, I didn't have time to brush my teeth. Definitely nobody says, oh, I didn't have time to eat, maybe I didn't have time to eat in the morning, but then I eat a little bit later. Yeah. So when we set priorities, and as His Holiness always keeps saying now, then we can also not just physical hygiene, but also mental hygiene. And then these negative, unhelpful emotions, they don't have so much power over us. Sometimes they still do, it really depends on the person. And that is, they will still, even though you think that now everything is okay. I mean, it happens to me that all of a sudden somebody turns up who just really pushes your button. And it's not somebody that you meet occasionally, it's somebody that you have to work together with, or it's your neighbor, or it's maybe somebody in your family, or I don't know. I'm not sure. Am I the only one to whom this happens? 99.999% of the people, I'm totally okay with them. Thanks to the practice. I've been practicing 30 years. Before it was maybe, I don't know, 40, 60 or something like that. Because my problem was really aversion that I just had towards people. And thanks to the practice, I was able to transform it. But still, some people still have this ability to push my buttons, even though I don't want to. I don't want to be unkind to them. I'm trying to keep away from them, actually, in order not to hurt them. But, you know, then sometimes when you have to work with them or something like that, this is not possible. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. Well, it always comforts me that I'm not the only one, kind of thing. But still, you know, I can see that I was able to dissolve it with other people. So I know I can also dissolve it with that one. So not to give up until that feeling when you think about the person, or when an email comes, or when the person comes. So that is not there anymore. Sometimes it takes years. And if you keep working on it, sometimes it's like a miracle. All of a sudden, off, it is gone. We had somebody who came to the center here in Bern who had absolutely no respect for anybody and always took things from the center. She lived in the same house, like just above, because it's an apartment house. And sometimes she would come 10 o'clock and say, well, can I meditate? You know, and I live here, it's an apartment. So I said, well, yeah, but I have to make some phone calls. Then she would say, oh, you can go to your room to make 2 phone calls. And, you know, this is an open place and all this. Nobody ever does that. If they want to come meditate, they call and ask, but definitely not 10 o'clock at night. And she used to take things, you know, little things like envelopes. And you know, I would make out of this one envelope, she would open the cupboard, take an envelope. It's an envelope, okay, who, I don't know how many shekel, almost, you know, maybe not even 1 shekel it costs, 1. But in my mind, because I had so much aversion for her and she was getting so much on my nerves, I made such a big thing out of it, you know, going, Dharma, she's stealing from the Sangha, you know, oh, so much bad karma for her, 1 envelope, yeah, and I could make a big story out of it. And then one day, but I was also, because everybody was unkind to her because she was such a pain in the neck. So people just did not like her. People just were not able to like her because she was so I, me. And of course, accused everybody that we're not kind to her and this and that. And it was true on top of it. And so one day she came and she was looking for something that she thought was belonging to the upper apartment. And I was just about to say, no, I know this belongs here. And I heard myself saying, well, if you want to take it, just take it. And the whole thing just fell apart. Amazing. Because I had been trying so hard to kind of let go of that aversion towards her. And I was not giving up. And all of a sudden, it was gone. And she could come whatever time she would want to come. I would go to my room. She could do whatever she wanted to do. It was okay. Then she moved out and she was gone. So sometimes I think, you know, maybe these are bodhisattvas who are coming to see at what point we're standing with our practice. So like that. Okay, so we continue with the verses. Last time we are in the 8 worldly dharmas. Yeah, you remember? These 4 pairs, you know, not wanting loss, but wanting gain, not wanting pain, but wanting pleasure, not wanting bad reputation, but wanting good reputation, not wanting criticism, but wanting praise. Yeah, these are the 8 worldly dharmas, and we put a lot of it, we give them so much importance in our life. Yeah, and Shantideva now in these maybe 10 verses or even more, he is totally destroying it. By first one, this one, the honor of praise and fame will not turn into merit nor life. It doesn't help you in your Dharma practice. It doesn't increase your lifespan, and it doesn't increase your Dharma merit. Maybe it increases your worldly merit. I don't know. Maybe when everybody praises you, other people will start liking you that don't like you, but very unlikely. If somebody doesn't like you, and again, we can turn the whole thing around. Yeah, if we don't like somebody and somebody is praising that person, we're not really looking is this true what this person says? Does this person has all these qualities? We are actually going exactly the opposite, and we're trying to dig out all the bad sides of this person, so we don't have to be happy about the praise, isn't it? So what we do, other people also do. So it's not much point, but it definitely, you know, if somebody says, "Oh, you're such a bodhisattva," to you, yeah, and I know exactly that I have so much self-concern, you know, that praise doesn't make me a bodhisattva. Even if people think I am a bodhisattva, it doesn't make me a bodhisattva. It doesn't change my karma of doing things in a very clever way that it looks like bodhicitta, but actually it's just self-concern and manipulation, which it can be. Yeah. So even if I fool the whole world, it doesn't increase my merit from being a bodhisattva. Yeah, it creates good karma for the other people because they praise me, and they it doesn't destroy their good karma when they're happy about what I'm doing, but my karma doesn't do anything. And we put so much importance on that. So it will give me neither strength nor freedom from sickness. Yeah, so it doesn't help the body, and will not provide any physical happiness. This can be debated a bit, that it doesn't create physical happiness. It does create a good feeling, doesn't it? When somebody praises you, there's a good sensation that you feel in the body, isn't it? That's why we like it. Yeah. But you see, not everything that is pleasant is useful. Yeah, this is what like ordinary thinking is going. Whatever is pleasant is useful. Whatever is painful is not useful. And this is what Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he teaches, very often he says, when we put the label happiness on the wrong object, then we will never find happiness. Yeah. So for example, we put the label happiness on when we receive praise, but it's so dangerous because we get so dependent on it. Yeah. And then we get hungry for praise, and we start to behave in a way so that we do get the praise that we need in order to have some self-confidence. And then we create negative karma because we get attached to it. And it's impermanent, and, it leads to suffering. Again, just look at very famous people who get a lot of praise. When they get older and nobody's interested in them anymore, I mean, look at how they suffer. I told you the example of Greta Garbo that I knew personally. It doesn't really change my karma that I knew her personally, because she didn't know me, but I knew her because I was working in a sports shop and she was customer. So, but she's, no more money, totally depressed, anxious, frightened. We were not able to talk to her. Only one person was allowed to serve her and all this. Somebody was called the divine. And I'm sure there's many more cases like this, people who were famous. Yeah. And when they lose their fame, and, like politicians also, if you look at how Trump behaved when he had to go, I mean, come on. It's like totally ridiculous. There we can see that it doesn't do long term, it doesn't do anything for you if the praise is totally not realistic. And even if it is realistic, I mean, in what way does it help us? But then when we label unhappiness on things that are painful or difficult, that's also, it's not the right label, because we can see that people who have suffered a lot but are able to work with this in a beneficial way, they grow in an incredible way. And today's Holocaust Memorial, you have these beautiful examples of, what's her name, Etty, you know who I'm talking about, this Dutch lady, isn't it?
Etty Hilsen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you read her books, or Viktor Frankl also, I mean, he is like, wow. When he's, I can, sometimes when I repeat these things, I'm so touched and I'm so moved that I have tears in my eyes and I lose my voice. But, somebody who's been in Dachau, like Viktor Frankl, and he says, if people can take everything away from you, but one thing, the way you react to the situation. I mean, how more beautiful is this? And sometimes we need somebody like Viktor to tell us, hey, you have a choice. Yeah, not so much how we react immediately, because this is, you know, habits and all this, but what we make of it, whether we go down the alley, whether we follow our whatever we are doing, or, you know, in a not helpful way, or whether we learn from this and we practice patience, for example. Patience is such a beautiful mind state. You become so courageous and so strong if you don't freak out about every situation. Yeah, you don't have to be afraid anymore to go into difficult situations. But it has to be developed. It has to be learned. When we suffer, when things are not going well, we develop courage to bear it, patience, we purify negative karma, we can create empathy for other people that are in the same situation. So there's so much more benefit in difficult things. Now, I'm not saying you should go and find difficult situations, okay? We're talking about when they come. So then we think, you remember a bit further down the line in the beginning of this 6th chapter, Shantideva was telling us these 3 benefits of suffering. It's like you purify negative karma, you develop empathy for others, and you can practice patience, you can become more courageous. But again, it can be too tiring if you're already in a bad state and you have the possibility not to face that difficult person. Don't face it. As Israel was saying, first take care of yourself. You know, of course, if you have no choice, you have to, but then make sure that before you say something, you kind of reflect. Yeah. And you give yourself that choice. Oh, I could be kind now, or I can be nasty. You know, reflect before you respond, if possible. Sometimes also not possible. Then don't judge yourself if it's not possible. Yeah, like this. So it's all a matter of which way you're looking. It all depends on you. Am I looking in this way? Because when we get praise, you know, it's like more. We're never content anyways. We never have enough praise. So that was the homework. You remember that I told you to, what was it exactly? The urge to hear praise, that you check that one. When you did something good. Yeah, we had this example of you cooked for somebody, and since it was like also Pesach, so it's these big dinners. Can you bear when you were the cook, or you know, everybody brings something, and you put your bowl of whatever it is, or your dish of whatever it is, you put it on the table with all the others. Are you able to let go and not look? How many people take from my dish? What do they say? Are you able to not to ask, do you like it?
I couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. We can't, isn't it? I mean, it's so strong. Next time you do it, because you have a lot of these common dinners, so that's good. So next time you make your dish and you put it very consciously, put it on the table and say, it's not mine anymore, you know. And maybe, I don't know, maybe you give as much importance to somebody else's dish. And then you eat that and you say, oh, who made that? And oh, wow, it's so wonderful, or something like that. Instead of craving for praise, you give praise. Yeah, and then you see how you feel, the difference. Yeah, because this is, you know, whether we get praise or not, we have no control. Yeah, we can't force people to praise us, but we can praise others. And praising somebody in a realistic way is creating a good feeling. You feel good, you feel happy. If it's realistic, if it's hypocritical, don't do it, no point. Yeah, don't become manipulating with your praise.
Anila,
Yeah.
I meditated on that subject, on those homework, almost every day in this week, and figured out that when I get praised, I say to myself, oh, I don't need it at all. And when I don't, I feel the lack of it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You see, we hardly ever talk about this, but we are so needy for praise, isn't it? I mean, it's amazing. Even though, as I'm saying, even though we know it's good, we see people are eating it, the bowl is empty. And then look how we feel when nobody touches it because there was far too much stuff on the table. You know, we feel bad instead of just thinking, oh, great, I can take it back home. I can eat it myself because I like it. No, you know, like everybody else has to like it. And then we become very weak. And then a lot of, you know, low self-confidence, anger, when, you know, think like that. So many difficult situations can come from this actually silly thing of having cooked a dish with a good heart. But the moment you cook it with a good heart, people like it or don't like it, it's okay. If you think it's good, you take it back home, then where's the problem? It's actually a big advantage. Nobody else likes it. Yeah, so this is skillful thinking, and we can, you know, we can think in all kinds of directions. So then we learn with awareness and insight. We try to learn and train to think in a way that is beneficial in the longer run. Okay. So the first one here is, okay, I get praise, wonderful, because yeah, it makes other people happy. So that's okay. You know, don't go, no, it's not. Just say thank you. If somebody is praising you, it's okay. You don't need to destroy it. That's what Swiss people do all the time. I think Israelis not so much. You have much more self-confidence there. You know, it's so interesting, maybe, Edouard, because I tell a lot of stories instead of teaching because I don't know how to teach. So, but it's interesting because 17 years of my time as a nun, I was a Tushita in Dharamsala, okay? So the groups you have, they're always mixed. So nobody is at home. It's, you know, we're all tourists. We're all foreigners in India. Then when I came here, 14 years ago to Switzerland, and the room then is full of the same nationality, all of a sudden I started to hear we have national delusions. That's something that is a problem for, you know, or Swiss people react in such a way. In another country, you know, people react is not a problem, or people react in a totally different way. Like France, you know, oh my gosh. Because I was teaching in France also, and in French part of Switzerland, not so much, but in France, if you try to tell them that pleasure is not happiness, oh my gosh, it's like, oh, you know, it's so difficult because in France, so much effort is put into, you know, fashion, smells, tastes, wine, and all these kinds of things. Yeah. So it's interesting to see how, so this is why I'm saying, you know, if Swiss people, they say they don't like praise, but they still do, but they're so humble. You know, we have this false, not everybody, but false humble kind of thing. Is like somebody says, wow, this is really great. You go, no, like this, instead of just saying thank you. How is it in Israel? What do you think? Are you also like this a bit, or? Gidi just appeared. Gidi, what do you think? You need to open your mic.
Yeah, what is the natural delusion, or
no, with that being praise? Humble and with the praise. How do you take praise in general? Maybe not you as a person, but I'm talking.
Yeah, I think people are very very hard for them to get blamed. I'm not sure about praise.
Okay.
But if you say something, or on the road, if someone is criticizing you, then people can get very, very aggressive. So it means something,
because you're not
someone is honking and say, I'm not driving so well, so what? But people can really get furious about it.
Yeah, and I noticed people are really surprised because somebody was driving me somewhere, and she bumped into it with the car, you know, not very hard, but still she bumped into somebody, and she was quite frightened, and it was a lady. She got out and she reacted in such a kind way, you know, don't worry, it's only a small bump and this and that, and nothing happened. And she was so happy, you know, that the one who was driving me.
It's a minority. Huh? It's a minority. I think.
Yeah, exactly. So she said, wow, I didn't expect that at all. And she was so happy afterwards. You know? She was happier after having bumped into the other car by the reaction of this person than before.
Yeah.
Before being bumped into the other car. So this is what I mean. We can make people really happy by not acting in an aggressive way. Yeah.
Yeah. In Israel, people are very not. We don't even have a word for it. Lefargen. How do you say it in English? When you praise someone, I mean, if someone does something good, then you can be rejoicing about it. Or
Yeah, right.
Word.
Encouraging.
Encouraging also, yeah, of course.
Supporting.
Yeah.
Supportive.
Yeah, supporting also. Yeah, yeah.
So
And
this is something Israelis are not so good at. If someone is doing something good, let's say a politician you don't really like, then you will not say, okay, we don't like to praise so much.
Yeah, that one is difficult, but I think this is international. We don't like to praise somebody we dislike, then we don't want to see their good side. So it's very, very difficult.
Yeah, but also someone neutral, people would not so much.
Okay.
Really, I think that it depends on the people, and in relationship between people, it's a little bit different. And I can see that all people in Israel, they know how to lefargen and how to say nice things to others. And it really depends what kind of group you belong.
Yeah, right.
It's not everyone, and it depends on the term.
Yeah, I think that Losang was asking about the general atmosphere.
Yeah, right. I was asking about the general one.
Yeah,
of course, if you like somebody, it comes very easy and it's very pleasant. Yeah, but also it's nice to just say to somebody that you don't know, or somebody who is in the supermarket, and people did it. Well, the situation we have in Switzerland with the pandemic at the moment is that, at the beginning, people were out in the streets and clapping for the doctors and for the nurses and singing for them and being very kind to them, bringing them presents or, offering to go shopping for them and all this. Now all this is gone. Now people are getting very aggressive and there's these demonstrations, especially the young people. They're destroying a lot of stuff and they feel impatient. They want to go to parties and all this. So the mood, from being praising the ones who really trying to do something about it, and also the government was praised and all this. Now it's only criticism and there's a lot of aggression, even for Switzerland, which is usually quite peaceful, quite peaceful and quite docile.
Maybe this reflects, and I think more so in Israel, the facility by which we look at things in a dual way, black and white, as we often say in the teachings, going for extreme. In Israel, I think it's more pronounced than in many other places, but it's a general concept. It's a general way of acting, of increasing the praise where it should not be that much, and increasing the criticism where it shouldn't be that much. So black and white instead of, most of the things are actually in between.
Of course, I mean, there's good sides and bad sides to all of it. Yeah.
And just one more word, if I can, what you mentioned about, the French approach to smells, fashion, and all these exterior things. I think it's if one has some experience with Japan, Japanese culture is very much into sensory. Sensory, you would say, I wouldn't say pleasure, but feeling the sensation. But their way to do it is very different, very, very different than the French.
Yeah, it's so refined, isn't it?
It's very refined, and it's really kind of looking at it, getting, I would even say getting through it.
Yeah. So subtle. It's so beautiful. Yeah, you're right. Exactly. So let's go to the next verses. Thank you, Edouard. with the Japanese chew. Okay, so 91. If I were aware of what held meaning for me, what value would I find in these things? Again, you know, what do I really want? You know, do you remember with these 4 pillars? The last one is purpose, that we ask ourselves sometimes, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I here? Am I here to get pleasure or not? If all I want is a little mental happiness, I should devote myself to gambling, drinking, and so forth. Very clear, isn't it? If this is what I want, these short moments of happiness, then let's go drinking, let's, you know, playing cards, let's play games, let's do nothing else but that. Again, don't forget, this text was made for monks, okay? So kind of he says, I can as well give back my monk's robes, because monks don't drink alcohol, and also nuns, and they don't play, kind of, they don't gamble, you know, or play cards or things like that. So this is what he says, you know, if this is all I want, well, I can spend my time drinking, not getting drunk, but drinking. How many people drink because of it's pleasant? Many people, you know, when as a Buddhist, you go like, oh, but, you know, there's a vow of no alcohol also in Israel sometimes, when it's like people never heard it. They go like, oh, but what? You know, it doesn't do any harm and all this. And it's so cultural, this whole thing. Also Switzerland, the French part of Switzerland, where they grow the wine. If you don't drink wine with them, it's like you're just an outcast in a way. Yeah. And so a little bit like this. So again, you know, it doesn't have to be drinking and gambling. It can be other things like sports or beach or holiday or what else? What else do you know, one can spend a lot of time with it and just have pleasure, and you can have a very happy life. I'm not saying if you have enough. Huh?
Watching Netflix.
I didn't understand.
Netflix, watching TV.
Watching TV, for example.
Yeah, Giddy has Netflix.
Oh, Netflix.
Now I don't, but I used to.
I understood them. I understood the wrestling. So I thought, okay, Netflix, watching movies. Yeah.
We also smoke a huge amount of weed and tobacco in Israel. We smoke, like, we're smokers. Everyone smokes, and a lot.
Yeah, not just in Israel, you know, smoking dope or other drugs. That just makes you feel good. I mean, it shows our yearning for well-being. This is what it shows. So then when you have the possibility to create short-term well-being and you string it very close together, you get some kind of feeling of having lasting happiness. But then the thing is with these sensory things, especially with drugs and alcohol and all this, you need more and more and more, and it gets boring. It doesn't really get you what you want. It's not really fulfilling. Yeah, so this is what this verse is saying. What do I really want? Do I just want to have pleasure? Then if I have enough money, I just travel wherever I want to go. I don't like the people there anymore, then I go somewhere else. And, you know, change is something that our attached mind really likes. And so the things to which we assign an important role, usually prestige, recognition, status, a new house, the dream partner, do not satisfy our habitually dissatisfied mind for long. After the initial satisfaction, we are usually back to where we started. Yeah, and this is it. This is why we have to make all this change all the time. This simple truth seldom gets through to us, especially when you have the possibility to change. If you don't have the possibility to change, then, you know, then of course, then you have to sit with it. And then you have two possibilities. Either you get used to the situation and you start to develop like deeper satisfaction that comes from a calm mind, because you're not exciting it all the time with something new, or you get depressed and you get angry also. If attachment doesn't get what it wants, it gets angry. So be careful with the anger also. You know, this is why we looked a few weeks back when you were getting angry, which needs did not get fulfilled, or which attachment did not get fulfilled here. Yeah. And if you feel that you are a habitually angry person and you don't want to be angry, but you react with anger all the time. And when I go like this, I say like, you act with anger all the time, because this is how I am. I have exploding anger, but there's people who have imploding anger. So both of it is anger, One, the exploding one communicates too harsh, too loud, and the imploding one stops communicating. So both of them are no good. So then when you feel that you don't want to have it and you're trying to do something about this, it's not so skillful to take away all your attachments, because your anger will increase. So you can kind of fulfill some of your attachments temporarily to help the anger. This would be a skillful way to deal with your anger, which can become a total excuse. So again, you see, with Buddhism and these methods, you have the responsibility how you use them. Nobody says you do it until here and then you stop. You have to find out. This is what makes it so difficult. We come back to awareness. Without awareness, we don't really see our real motivation. Yeah. So even when the evidence to the contrary is crystal clear, that these things do not really satisfy us, we try again and again to change our mental state through possessions, relationships, good reputation, or wealth. Shantideva questions whether these habitual mindsets are wise and clarifies the obvious. No matter how successful we are in pursuing our goals, neither your lifespan nor our satisfaction nor our merits can be increased as a result. The expectation to achieve constant satisfaction through a change in external conditions will constantly be disappointed. Means we are looking for lasting happiness and satisfaction in the wrong place. Where should we look for, my dears? Where is there such a thing like lasting satisfaction? Yes or no?
What?
Inside.
So there is.
What was
potentially.
The potential is there. So there is. If there's the potential, that means if we create the right causes, then we will find it. What are the right causes?
That's why we are here, I guess.
That's why we're here. Okay. Could you say again the 8 worldly gains? It's not the 8 worldly gains, it's the 8 worldly interests or concerns. Yes, I will in a minute. Okay, where should we look for it? Inside. Where? Inside. In the stomach, in the bladder,
in the heart,
in the brain, in the heart. Okay.
in the feeling.
In the feelings. Okay.
Because everything that happened to you, first of all, you feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel it, you ask yourself the question, do you like it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you don't like it? Or is neutral, you don't care?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you like it, so you put it aside and say, this is the good stuff, I like it.
Okay.
But then if you don't like it, you should know what to do with it. If you don't like it, you can look at it and ask yourself why you don't like it.
Okay.
And then slowly, you go inside and you go and check what is the cause of not liking this or that, whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
And after a while, when it comes again, the same feeling, you already know. After a long time, it's not very easy, but after a long time that you practice, if this kind of feeling comes again, you know why. Why does it make you feel bad?
Good.
And then slowly,
Slowly.
Because
So
if you feel bad, you don't want to feel bad. Like you said before, everybody wants to be happy.
Yeah, exactly. We all have this yearning. So it's very good what you're saying, because Israel, thank you very much, because that's the mistake that we are making. when we don't look, when we are not aware, when we maybe never heard it before from Buddhist or maybe other teachings, we make the mistake that we think that the pleasant feeling is coming from the object, or the unpleasant feeling is coming from the object, because this is how it looks. So this is the big mistake that we're making. You see, the sensations, the feelings, when we make contact with something, they are not the cause for happiness or unhappiness. They're just the basis. If they would be the cause for happiness or unhappiness, then every, how shall I say that now? If they would be the cause, for example, then an unpleasant feeling could not create aversion or patience. Because out of an unpleasant feeling, you can develop either aversion, which we do naturally and don't want, or as Israel was saying, when we start to explore it, we start to feel it, we start to see, we go like, oh, I could practice patience. We don't have to think I could practice patience. We practice patience when we use wisdom. When the unpleasant feeling, and we go like, many things we can do. I'm not the only one. This is ripening of negative karma. It is impermanent. It will not last. Then we develop patience. So from the same kind of feeling, unpleasant, we can develop aversion, which pushes it away, makes it worse, and is not looking, doesn't see its impermanence, gets really upset and all this. Or we can develop patience. Yeah, if the feeling itself, because patience leads to happiness, aversion leads to unhappiness. So if the feeling would be the cause, it couldn't create two different things. Do you understand what I'm saying? With pleasant feelings, we can either create attachment for more, or what else can we create with pleasant feelings? The opposite.
Opposite of attachment?
Yeah, one is attachment. I want more. We look
Rejecting.
No, pleasant feeling. I don't think that spontaneously. I hate to say no when people say
maybe joy.
To avoid something, like
pleasant. I'm talking about pleasant feelings, not unpleasant.
We can give it
Addiction.
to others.
Addiction.
Yeah, that's addiction or attachment. That's one side. But we can also develop something positive. Yael?
We can give it to others. We can
develop gratitude, satisfaction. Oh, how wonderful. Somebody made this for me. Not just one person, but many, many beings. We can develop love and, a wish wanting to repay that kindness, which then again creates the karma or the cause to create happiness. Whereas, addiction or attachment creates more suffering, more not finding what we want. So again, but the way it looks, when we don't hear this and when we don't observe, it looks as if the pleasant feeling gives me happiness, creates happiness, and the unpleasant feeling creates unhappiness. But they are just the basis for then, whatever we make of it. This is where we have the choice when we are aware. Okay?
Anila?
Yeah.
Also, when we have bad feelings, I think it's an opportunity to practice to be open.
Mm-hmm. For example.
Because usually we feel open when we feel good. But
yeah.
So it's
if we never have negative feelings, we cannot practice. This is the thing. We kind of run after pleasant feelings, but then we forget about the practice. We kind of, everything is okay. Yeah. When you go, when you are a new meditator, and I know it happens sometimes because it happened at Tushita sometimes, most of the people who come to do these 10-day courses, they're total beginners. Not so much now anymore, when the pandemic is finished, because many people live in Dharamsala and go for classes of Kelsang Wangmo Geshe-ma like many times, and then have really deep understanding of Buddhist philosophy. But most of the people who came to Shita, when I was there, it was like 20 years ago, there was just beginners courses. But they, you tell them how to sit, they sit down, they sit in full lotus, they have never meditated before, and you see, it's rare, but it happens, and you see they are totally at ease. Yeah. So that means that they have meditated before, they have meditated in other lives, and it's just the body that remembers it. But then they don't want to learn because they only want to have the pleasant feeling of meditating. So it's quite interesting to see sometimes how you see that some people habitually, they just feel already, even they think they've never meditated in this life, they feel a lot of pleasure or pleasant feelings in their meditation. I forgot I'm not sure why I'm saying this. I wanted to make a point, but I forget. Yeah, so it's my short-term memory having a lot of holes. To some of you, we had Easter. To some of you, which I have your WhatsApp thing, I sent this comic about somebody finding an Easter egg. The eggs, the chocolate eggs, we hide them for the kids, and then they have to go and find them. And so there's somebody, he sees an Easter egg, he goes like, ah! And then he puts it in his basket, but there's a hole in the basket. So the egg falls out again. So I said, well, this is the best instruction to have like continuous pleasure, because you find the same egg again and again and again and again. Every time it's like this. Yeah. So then I said, this is a bit like my memory, I have put something, then I have a hole. And so maybe I have the same pleasure because I forgot that I had it before. But sometimes it's really good. We put Western world also, we put so much importance on beautiful smells, sounds, tastes, touches, sights. Yeah, these 5 sense pleasures. So much effort and so much money goes into that for something that gives us actually so little. And the thing is, we want lasting satisfaction, and we can't find it in things that are by nature impermanent. This is why we're looking in the wrong things, right? So it's good to sit down from time to time and really let your mind, when you have time, your mind go backwards and really check, how many beautiful sights have I already seen? How many wonderful sounds have I already heard? And then we also see, especially with the sounds, this is so subjective. For somebody it's hard metal bands, and for other people it's opera. But what for one is pleasure, for the other one is torture. So how can it come from the object outside? It cannot. Yeah. So how many beautiful sounds have we heard? Harmonious sounds, which are harmonious for us. For others, who knows? How many wonderful tastes have we tasted? How many beautiful touches have we had? How many wonderful smells, especially if you buy parfum in France, have we had, which is far too strong also. When you're not using perfume and you are going into an elevator and you have only one person who is using it, you go like, ugh, yeah? Because the senses lose interest in these things. They withdraw when it's always the same. This is again why we have to change. And then you kind of go like, I've had all these things. Am I one step closer to contentment? This is a really, really interesting reflection that you can do when you have time. Allow these memories to come up of sense pleasures or praise or whatever, here it talks about these things. And watch your mind. What comes up? Gratitude or a wish for more? Or, my age now, oh, I can't do this anymore. Like sports, skiing, and all these kinds of things, climbing, skiing, yeah. I had a long period where I used to look at the mountain. I used to be jealous of people who went skiing. Yeah, now my body's too old, my knees too bad. You know, now I'm in the phase of, oh la la, I'm so happy I don't have to do this anymore. Because then, of course, you know, I'm not looking at how people ski down the slope. I'm looking at the people who queue up at the ski lift for hours and hours and hours, you know. Like, or when they have to drive for I don't know how many hours and get stuck in traffic jam in order to go skiing. So this is what I do now. Yeah.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, please, Israel.
We born with the 6 senses, right?
Well, one would say, yeah, 6. Okay, if you take the mental sense.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah.
Now, we can't stop smelling.
No.
We can't stop hearing.
Well, you know, just get old enough, then it comes by itself.
All right, but we can't stop tasting.
What? Even that, you know, you get corona, also
no,
that.
No.
Oh, I tell you, it's like so strange. Or when you have a cold, or when it's actually quite easy to stop tasting. So
Yeah, okay,
you close your nose and you don't taste.
All right, but, you know, in life, you taste, you hear, and you enjoy your senses.
Yeah.
But
you should.
But you should, because this is why the way you're born. You should.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you practice Buddhism, they tell you protect your sense doors.
Yeah.
Protect your sense doors. Don't eliminate them.
No.
No. I mean, protect your sense door. Go the middle way. I mean, eat well, smell well, but don't take it like it's the only thing in life.
Mm-hmm.
Do it because this is what you have.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
That's fine. That's no problem.
But
don't run after it. You know, don't, you know, as it says in the Foundation of All Good Qualities, seeking samsaric pleasures or sensual pleasures is the door to all suffering. It doesn't say pleasure is suffering. It says it can become, when you seek it, when you look for it, and you do nothing else but that, you miss renunciation and enlightenment anyway, you know, because it's the pleasure is not outside, the happiness is not outside, as Netta was saying, it's inside. Okay, so I want to finish with the reflection. That will be your homework, with the reflection that you're going to do. You're remembering all your sense pleasures and look how you react. Honestly, write it down and then we discuss it. Then you think about moments when you were able to help somebody and you check that feeling. Feelings of connection, feelings of compassion, not so much people that you're attached to, because if they have died, then again, you know, you're not happy. Anyway, I'm not telling you what you should feel. Don't, again, when you do the homework, don't already know what you should feel before you do it, because then you kind of, you know, again, you're in your brain and not in your heart. Really check, honestly, when you remember all these sense pleasures, what kind of sensations come up. Don't manipulate anything. And when you remember having been able to help somebody or having been helped by somebody without putting too much pressure on you that you have to be grateful for the rest of your life, then watch the sensation that comes up. Okay? So just to finish, for Sigal, the 8 worldly concerns or interests, sometimes it's called the 8 worldly dharmas, is like, you know, being very happy when you have gain and being very unhappy when you have loss. Being very happy when you hear praise and being very unhappy when you hear criticism. Being very happy when you have good reputation and being totally, you know, depressed and unhappy when you have bad reputation. We can't control people's view about ourselves. And then what's the other one? Being very happy when you enjoy pleasure and being very unhappy when you have pain. Now, these 8 things, they are part of our life. whether we want or not. Same way as Israel was saying about the senses. We cannot avoid them, but we can take them as they come by seeing that they are actually exactly the same. Now, we have to finish now, but next time I will read you, there's a short sutra, which is called The 8 Vicissitudes. It talks about, the Buddha gave this sutra. It's a Pali sutra, so it's from the Theravadian tradition, but it's very beautiful. And he explains you can either use them as a door to suffering, or you can use them as the door to liberation. If you understand, if you see their nature.
What is the vicissitudes?
Vicissitudes.
What
Okay,
is that?
also, you know, I also had to look it up when when I read it for the first time. A vicissitude is like a flag in the wind. Yeah.
Like not consistent, not permanent.
Wherever wherever the wind blows, the flag goes. Very fickle.
Right.
Yeah.
Come and goes, come and goes.
Yeah, very, very fickle. You know, from which today is I want black coffee, and 5 minutes later, oh no, I don't like black coffee because something happened. Because your friend doesn't like black coffee, or you want to impress somebody, or who knows? You know, stupid example, but a little bit like this. Fickle, vicissitude, uncertain. Not just impermanent, but uncertain also.
Uncertain, right.
Yeah. Okay. So that's clear. Yeah, the homework is you reflect, you sit down, quietly reflect on remembering sense pleasures, look at the sensation, and then you reflect about having been helped or helping somebody. And then we share what you have experienced. And then we see the difference maybe. So we just finish, as always, with some loving kindness meditation. Again, you know, thinking about all the people who still, after all these years, suffer from the Holocaust, who are not able to let go, you know, and which I'm not criticizing. I know it's, as a non-Jewish person, it's very tricky for me to talk about this because it sounds as if I'm criticizing you and saying, oh, just let go. This is so difficult to let go. But one can also hold on too much, you know, the grief, sometimes, I think it was also Jack Cornfield who said, grief is like burns that when you hold on to something, and especially if you've been climbing, you know, like when you slide down on a rope and you get burns in your hands. So that's like grief. You hold on to the rope, but the rope has been pulled out of your hands because you lost something. This is why we're grieving. And then if you don't let go, then it gets burns. Yeah. So, you know, may everybody become like Viktor Frankl with that kind of wisdom. And I really don't want to say more about this because I feel not worthy enough to be able to guide you in a meditation on Holocaust Memorial, to be honest, because I really don't want to hurt your feelings. But just open up your heart and see that there's so much suffering still now. Also in German people who find out that their grandfather was a Nazi, you know. Again, you know, sometimes we forget about this. The shame, the guilt, the negative karma that they have amassed. Again, not an excuse, yeah, but still just open up your heart. And then we first ourselves, always, may I be safe. Especially, may I be protected from my own unhelpful emotions, acting them out. So that I will be protected from physical and mental harm. May I be strong, healthy, free from fear, you know, unreasonable fear, anxiety, these kind of things. There is something like reasonable fear, that's okay. Prevents us from doing stupid things. Maybe better to say, may I be free from anxiety. Peaceful, and loving. And may I be able to live my life with joy and ease. And then we open up our heart wide. And we visualize that, you know, what the sensation that we have when we think about with these loving thoughts towards ourselves, which are so necessary. We visualize them as a source of light that first fills our whole body, and then it radiates out like the sun, and it brings wisdom, compassion, relief, support, understanding, and connection to all beings in the east, in the west, in the south, in the north, above and below. May all beings be safe. May all beings be protected from being under the control of their own negative emotions, so that they can be protected from physical and mental harm. May this light that I'm sending out bring well-being to all these beings. May it free them from anxiety. May it make them feel safe, worthy, loving and peaceful. And may we all be able to live our lives with joy and ease. And may I be able to contribute to that. This is the purpose of my life, so that everybody who sees me, hears me, touches me, thinks about me, talks to me or talks about me, may it only be of benefit to them in whatever way. May I be able to contribute to people's happiness in order to create pain and suffering and fear. Okay, my dears, thank you very much. Again, for me, it was very pleasant, so very inspiring just to see you and to talk to you. And so I'm getting my vaccination, by the way, the first one on Friday and then the next one in a month. So that means that kind of obstacle to come to Israel when they let non-Israeli citizens in, that would be then kind of out of the way. So we still, in Switzerland, we still don't have a digital pass, but you know, I have a card where there's a stamp, so maybe that will be enough, or maybe by summer. So I'm planning to come like middle of August, because until then I still have things to do here. And then I'll be there for a few months, so we will have time to meet, which will be very nice.
We miss you.
I miss you too, my dears, but at least, you know, thanks to Zoom, we can still see each other, talk to each other, and WhatsApp and all this. So the connection can definitely be upheld.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Anila.
Thank
you.
Thank you, Anila.
Okay.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.